The wind howled across the endless ryefields of Pomerania like a dying man's last breath. It was 1878, and the old frontier spirit had somehow crossed oceans. Not in America, no, that dream was already tamed by railroads and laws, but here, in the newly united German Empire, where the Kaiser's iron roads were still young and the marshes swallowed men who wandered too far. Jakob, Czech Reinhardt rode alone. Tall, lean, scarred from saber cuts and bar fights, he wore a wide-brimmed hat he'd bought from an American trader in Hamburg, a long duster coat patched with Prussian blue wool, and boots caked in Baltic mud. His Colt peacemaker hung low on his hip, illegal in most duchies, but no one dared ask questions when they saw the way his eyes never blinked first. They called him the Wanderer. Some said he was an ex-soldier from the Franco-Prussian War who'd lost everything at Sedan. Others whispered he was half American, born to a Prussian mother and a Union deserter father who'd fled after Appomattox. Truth was, Jack didn't talk about the past. The past had teeth, and he'd learned to keep his distance. He'd been riding for 3 weeks, following rumors. A town called Schattenmoor lay ahead, nestled between dark pine forests and peat bogs that stretched to the Baltic. They said a man named Baron von Falkenberg ruled it like a king from the old world. He owned the only bridge over the wide, black river that cut the land in two. He charged tolls that broke families. He hanged poachers without trial. And lately, he'd started something worse, rounding up vagrants, deserters, and anyone without papers, shipping them east to work in his secret peat mines until they dropped. But the real reason Jack wrote there wasn't justice. It was personal. 3 months earlier, in a rain-soaked tavern in Stettin, a dying man had pressed a crumpled letter into Jack's hand. The man was Elias Kruger, once a cavalry scout, now coughing blood from black lung. Elias had worked for von Falkenberg. He'd seen things. The letter was addressed to a woman named Anna, Elias' sister. It spoke of a stolen child. Von Falkenberg's men had taken her boy, little Wilhelm, claiming the mother owed debts that could never be paid. They said the boy was repeating in the mines. Elias had tried to get him back. He'd failed. A knife in the ribs ended his attempt. "Find Anna," Elias gasped. Tell her I'm sorry. And if you can, bring the boy home." Jack had burnt the letter after memorizing every word. He didn't do favors. But something in Elias's eyes, hopeless, yet still burning, stuck like a burr under his saddle. Now the town appeared through the mist. Schattenmoor wasn't much, a cluster of timber houses with steep roofs, a church with a crooked spire, a single muddy street that ended at the river. Smoke rose from chimneys like funeral pyres. People moved slowly, heads down. No children left. No dogs barked. Jack tied his horse, a sturdy black gelding named Schatten, to a post outside the only inn. The sign read, "Zum Schwarzen Adler, the Black Eagle." Inside, the air smelt of sour beer, wet wool, and fear. The barkeep, a thick man with a limp, eyed Jack's hat and gun. "Stranger," he grunted. "We don't get many like you." "Looking for a woman named Anne Kruger," Jack said quietly. The room went still. Glasses stopped clinking. I started. "Anne's gone," the barkeep said. "Disappeared 2 weeks ago. Baron took her too, they say. For asking too many questions." Jack leaned on the bar. "Where's the boy?" "Wilhelm." The barkeep wiped his hands on a rag. "You don't ask about the boy." "Not here." Jack's voice dropped lower. "I just did." A chair scraped back. A man stood, broad shoulders, scarred knuckles, wearing the black armband of von Falkenberg's private guard. Baron don't like outsiders sniffing around. Especially not Americans playing cowboy. Jack turned slowly. "I'm German. Born in Königsberg. But I spent enough years in Texas to know when a man's hiding behind a title." The guard laughed, but it was hollow. "Texas? That's fairy tales. This is real. Baron owns this land. Owns the law. Owns you if you stay too long. Jack's hand rested near his Colt. Then tell him I'm here. Tell him Jakob Reinhardt wants a word about a stolen child. The guard's smile faded. He left without another word. That night, Jack sat on the inn's porch, cleaning his revolver under lantern light. The fog rolled in thick. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled, then another. Not wolves, he realized. Men. Signals. Footsteps approached. Not the guard. A woman. Thin, cloaked, face hidden. You're the wanderer, she whispered. Jack didn't look up. Depends who's asking. Anna. Anna Kruger. He Froze. The lantern flickered. They said you were taken. They tried. She stepped closer. Her eyes were red-rimmed but fierce. I escaped the mines. Wilhelm is still there. Deep in the lower shafts. They use children because they're small enough to crawl into the narrow tunnels where the best peat is. If they do, no one asks. Jack holstered the gun. Why come to me? Because you're the only man who isn't afraid of von Falkenberg. And because Elias trusted you. Jack stared into the fog. I don't save people. I settle scores. Then settle this one. For Elias. For me. For a boy who still believes his uncle will come riding out of the mist like in the stories. Jack stood. Where are the mines? North. Past the old oak. But the Baron knows you're here. He'll be waiting. Jack nodded once. Good. Dawn broke grey and cold. Jack rode north alone. The forest swallowed him. Pines stood like silent sentinels. The path narrowed to a boggy track. Then he saw them, von Falkenberg's men. 6 riders, carbines ready. At their head, the Baron himself. Von Falkenberg was tall, aristocratic, silver hair, monocle glinting. He wore a tailored military coat with iron cross. His horse was white, pure as fresh snow. Reinhardt, the Baron called. You have balls coming here. But foolishness ends today. Jack reined in Schatten. You took a boy. I'm taking him back. The Baron laughed. The child is property. That must be paid. Law is mine. Jack's voice was calm. Law ends where a gun starts. The Baron raised a hand. His men spread out. You think one man can stand against 6? Jack smiled thin. One man who knows how to count bullets. The first shot came from the left. Jack rolled from the saddle, drawing as he hit the mud. His Colt barked twice. 2 men dropped, clutching chests. The others opened fire. Bullets whined past. Jack used his horse as cover, Schattenmoor, then bolted into the trees. Jack ran low, zigzagging between trunks. Another guard charged. Jack rose, fired once. The man fell backward, lifeless. 4 left. The Baron shouted orders. They dismounted, advancing carefully. Jack circled, breath steady. He remembered Texas Comanche raids, saloon shootouts, nights when the only law was speed. He waited behind a fallen log footsteps. A guard appeared. Jack lunged, knife flashing. The man gurgled, dropped. 3. A bullet grazed his shoulder. Hot pain. He ignored it. He broke cover, sprinting toward the Baron. Shots rang. One clipped his hat. Another tore his coat. Jack fired. The Baron's white horse screamed, Reat. The Baron fell hard. The remaining guards hesitated. Jack stood over von Falkenberg, Colt aimed at his heart. Call them off, Jack said. The Baron spat blood. You'll never leave this forest alive. Jack cocked the hammer. Neither will you. Silence. Then the Baron raised a trembling hand. Stand down. The guards lowered weapons. Jack grabbed the Baron by the collar. Where's the boy? Lower shaft, entrance by the Black Rock. Jack dragged him up. You're coming with me. They marched through the mist. The Baron limped. Jack's shoulder bled steadily. At the mine entrance, a dark gash in the earth. Guards waited. They saw the Baron held hostage, Folze. Bring the boy, Jack ordered. Now. Or your master dies here. Minutes later, a small figure emerged, filthy, eyes white. Wilhelm. 8 years old, cooing, but alive. Anna rushed from the trees, she'd followed unseen. She fell to her knees, sobbing, holding her son. Jack pushed the Baron forward. You're done here. The mine's closed today. The bridge opens. No more tolls. No more debts. Spread the word. The Baron glared. You think this ends? The Empire. The Empire doesn't care about one Baron's Pete, Jack cut in. But people remember. And they talk. He turned to Anna. Take the boy. Go south. Find a new start. She looked at him, tears streaking dirt. Come with us. Jack shook his head. I don't stay. Never have. He mounted Schatten, who had returned like a loyal ghost. As he rode away, the sun broke through clouds for the first time in days. Behind him, people gathered. Minas, families, guards who suddenly had no orders. Whispers spread. A stranger had faced the Baron and won. Word traveled fast. By the time Jack crossed into Mecklenburg, stories were already growing. The wanderer who rode from the west, head low, gun smoking, freeing children from the dark. Some said he was Elias reborn. Others swore he was a spirit of the old frontier, come to remind men that even in the heart of Europe, courage still mattered. Jack never looked back. He kept riding. West, always west, toward the sea, toward whatever lay beyond the horizon. Because some men aren't made for towns, or families, or peace. They are made for the wind, the road, and the quiet satisfaction of one wrong made right. And in Schattenmoor, for the first time in years, children laughed again. The end.